This here, and co-founder of the Marma J Foundation. That's the website I'm on now, marmaj.org. And as the co-founder, I generally do a lot of research in the Web3 space, trying to figure out how to leverage Web3 tech for social good. And that's kind of led the Marma J Foundation to spin up a Marma J DAO. Now there are multiple sub-DAOs underneath the Marma J DAO, and one of those is the Marma J Gaming DAO. So, tagline here is we really want people to earn, right? People are always kind of earn something, but in order to play with the Marma J Gaming DAO. Our goal is to educate and onboard gamers and game developers into the Web3 sphere by providing the tools and resources to gain life skills through play. So simply by coming in and interacting with these games and these tools, we hope that people are actually able to earn and therefore continue playing, right? Not just these games, but with the entire Web3 ecosystem. So what is earn to play really, and how does it come down to be like, an interactive process? So, people can explore the crypto-based gaming world of pixel dApps where, they can collaborate artistically with friends, which is kind of like Pixel Party, gather, pets for a battle, which is like Pixel Pets here, outfit your hero to explore dungeons and take part in raids in Crypto Heroes, and, gather an army to position yourself as the master tactician in Chain Team Tactics. Now, whoever would like to learn more about each of these games, you can kind of hit the little play button, and it'll kind of open up the game. Gaming DAO plans to use PXT for its governance. So the Marma J Gaming DAO plans to, it is a DAO in Astro, which you can see from the left over here. And it is a DAO that plans to adopt the PXT token for governance once it is viable to do so. So once the Astro mainnet platform allows us to adopt the PXT token, we will allow anyone who's holding PXT the ability to have added governance on the DAO, maybe not full governance right away. But the idea is that by, allowing PXT holders to start making, small decisions at first, and then completely making decisions about smart contract upgrades, about which games should get which resources for upcoming features, that should all be available to PXT holders. And so when the Marma J Gaming DAO does take over the ecosystem in early November, one of the first steps is that the PXT tokens will also be the current PXT tokens held in the PXT bank, which is held by the current Pixel dApps team, will be sent over to the Marma J Gaming DAO on Astro, which will be used to continue to fund development of the games as much as possible, as long as whatever other funding hopefully can be found to continue developing these games. So the first step, what is the roadmap? What are we doing? We're not just sitting on our butts doing nothing. We are already started getting the DevOps set up, so making sure we have a good, an efficient testing environment on testnet, not only for the games, but also for the DAO, to ensure we can do some DAO-based upgrades. So Calicandra DAO specifically will be supporting the Marma J Gaming DAO, developer operations for the migration of the games. And so the games are currently being run, like as you can see from Pixel Party mostly, the games are already being hosted on a back end and a front end by a different team. The Marma J Gaming DAO has to actually take over running the MongoDB servers or the AWS servers, the Vercel, spin-ups, and whatever else, DigitalOcean, whatever else is needed in that end. That's the first step, which is happening at the moment. The second step is what happens early November, is this transfer of ownership. And so that terminology is hopefully, adhered to specifically, because what we're really doing is we're saying that the power to upgrade these games, Chain Team Tactics, Pixel Pets, Pixel Party, crypto heroes. The idea is that the Marma J Gaming DAO will have the ability to upgrade these contracts. And so as token holders are voting on the Marma J Gaming DAO, that's where the actual ownership rights are going to be laid, with the PXT token is the goal. Step 3, game improvements. So phase 3 will bring a multitude of updates happening in tandem, included, as I talked about, in chain team tactics, hopefully mint-based gaming, mobile support, leaning heavily on the support from reality chain, and, improved game logic. So I talked about many areas where the incentives and the game logic didn't really align for progressing through the games, and there was not much connectivity between the games as well. So really hoping to fix that progressively over the next few months as well. And then stage 4 is like once we start looking at code rewrites into JavaScript and cross-contact calls into Rust, once we start making sure that the games can be accessible on mobile and there's like an efficient way to log in with a multi-selector, and once we make sure that the incentives and the reason to play is efficient. I mean, again, we want people playing because the games are fun, not because they're earning some economic incentive. So it's not just the incentives in terms of how much PXT or Marma J are you earning. It's more about like how are you building community and how are you progressing through the story of the game. And then stage 4 would be, working with Octopus Network to get an app chain for the Pixel Dapps ecosystem. PXT would hopefully be used as the gas token. These 4 games would just be the start here. We're already looking at getting Pixel Battle set up as open source code as well. So all of these code repos will be open sourced probably in the beginning of November, and we'll be publicly opening on all of these games. But there's also going to be, Pixel Battle. There's also a team coming on board building a 6th anime-style pixel-based game. And so the best example I have, I guess, is like Axie Infinity, building the Ronin sidechain, and then having not only Axie Infinity, but the land game that they have, and then also having like Katana, their decks, and of course they're probably gonna have like lending and borrowing and land staking and all these like NFT staking and all of that. So the PXT app chain just allows us to use the PXT token as gas to onboard more efficiently, right? So that like when people first get started, they don't need a near wallet, they don't need to worry about any kind of wallet, they can just play the games with like microtransactions supported by the Marma J Gaming DAO or the Marma J Gaming DAO organization there, or a smart contract. And over time, as they play more or as they engage more, they can actually take ownership of that contract. And again, the Marma J Gaming DAO can handle the payment there, or the user could actually be like, okay, I actually care about this game enough to pay, a few 30 cents or whatever needed to actually take ownership of this account. But the idea is that should never be needed. So we have PXT kind of supporting in that area, faster block times to make everything built on chain, for example. And I think there'd be an interesting medium-term, long-term goal, because we have to start thinking about, okay, how do we integrate a game built on mint-based to then have like, it's logic on other chains, because eventually, we want this ecosystem to be multi-chain, because we're not really trying to create anything for ourselves here. We're trying to open source all of this, make it open for game developers and game players globally. So that anyone who's like, hey, I want to learn more about getting involved in blockchain gaming from any aspect, they will have this open source repo community ecosystem to get engaged with, and hopefully learn about how to use a DAO on Near for governance to do so. And hopefully this roadmap will really kind of over the next few months, 6 months and beyond, I guess, with the app chain, will truly allow the Marma J Gaming DAO to be a community-run governance organism to manage the Pixel Dapps ecosystem. So hopefully that's a pretty